Those of us who are terminally or even casually online will have noticed the immense flood of memes in the period roughly between the election and the inauguration, such as the historic example pictured here. Combining several popular culture memes and references to political figures and events into one mega meme. Might this actually be the material students will be asked to analyze in the future? Memes have of course been a staple of online culture for many years. Is there anything special about the most recent memes? How do they work? How are they evolving? What image of American politics is portrayed through the language and visuals of pop culture? There are of course many different kinds of memes. In its most basic definition, a meme is, borrowing from biology, a self-replicating unit. Dawkins applied this both to genes and cultural practices, which we could similarly describe as being under evolutionary pressures of competition and selection. However, nowadays, when we talk about memes, we usually mean a very specific kind of cultural practice, for example, described by Schiffman as viral content, be it text, image, sound, behaviors, or videos that encourage remixing and is in one way or another usually funny. These memes have become a fundamental part of online culture and communication. They fulfill several functions in this context that have been explored in literature. They are of course funny, which not only encourages sharing, but can contribute to creating group cohesion through shared in-jokes. If someone gets it, they might share your sense of humor or preferred internet culture to hang out in. Secondly, many have written about memes as activism, which is closely connected to satirical critique. I have decided to put them into separate bubbles, as there is a difference between, for example, memes portraying Trump as God Emperor or memes that we will look at that mock him losing the election. Much research has also been done on how memes can perpetuate harmful ideas that can easily be brushed off because it's just a joke, and hence contribute to radicalization. Now, what kind of memes did we encounter during the election? First of all, I'm only looking at Twitter. Twitter is used by politicians, celebrities, and many citizens while allowing for easy spread that can be tracked publicly. So it can give us somewhat of an idea what memes have mainstream popularity. In smaller message boards or closed groups, however, we might find very different memes. I have come up with categorizations for the materials in my corpus. In one category we have pop cultural references that provide a frame for the statement to be made. For example, adapting a well-known line from a franchise such as Star Wars or Game of Thrones to comment upon events. The second one uses recognizable pop cultural iconography, which is a much broader reference. We will, for example, see hockey mascot Gritty show up both as a reference to Philadelphia and anti-fascist ideals. There are also memes that derive most of the humor not from recognizing a reference to a specific text or object, but from recognizing the meme itself. The element that is repeated has become devoid of meaning or can be interpreted in various ways without a fixed meaning. We could just call it a floating signifier, which may, quote, mean different things to different people. They may stand for many or even any signifieds. They may mean whatever the interpreter wants them to mean, end quote, as Chandler defines it in Semiotics for Beginners. We will see this with Bernie Sanders. Last but not least, a meme might also reference a specific event in the real world. It is not recognizable by a specific line or visual, but it might require one to attribute descriptions to real-life events to derive these memes' humor. All of these intersect heavily, of course, as we will see in my examples. One thing I found particularly noteworthy about the 2020 elections was the mainstream appeal of clearly political memes. Many comments on the election occurred in the form of memes, often using intertextual references to popular culture. These were often retweeted or shared in various formats several thousands of times. And this is one of my favorites. It shows popular franchises being used to comment upon political events that are simplified to a resolution. We can see both intertextual framing through a pop culture reference and adapted quote and a reference to a specific event displayed here. To understand it, we need to be aware of these facts. On the 7th of November, then President Trump had to face having lost the election to President Biden. He gave a press conference in front of not the Four Seasons Hotel, but the Four Seasons Landscaping Center, a mishap that many people felt characterized the competency of his presidency as a whole, making it an iconic moment that many people who had anxiously awaited his loss delighted in. It was located near a sex toy shop and a crematorium, in which people also found a certain sense of poetic irony. This is framed by using a well-known quote from Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith. So this is how liberty dies, with thunderous applause, in which Senator Padme Amidala moans the end of the free democracy in the Galactic Republic. Now let's look at this meme again. Instead of the passing of liberty, she refers to the end of Trump's reign as the end of fascism, echoing the celebratory tone in many pop culture memes seeing the Biden presidency as a new era in American politics and harshly denouncing Trump's presidency, not acknowledging, whether consciously or not, that of course the underlying structures will not disappear. Interestingly, the tone of the original scene is reversed, as the use of the strong term fascism clearly indicates that the end of Trump's presidency is not a tragedy in the same vein as the end of liberty is. The humor in this meme mainly stems from the juxtaposition of the serious political demise and the absurd location. As they say, sometimes real life is stranger than fiction. Maybe that's why it is so attractive to incorporate it into well-known narratives such as Star Wars. The location, close to an L store, is referenced in many memes created on the day, often using a more crass description of dildo shop for humoristic effect, a phrase that became an iconic embodiment of the day's election results. Of course, the crematorium is also important as it works as a metaphor for it ending up in ash and flames. However, in the process of distilling an event down to its funniest, most memorable components, we of course often end up with the most trivial aspects of an event. It, for example, reinforces the idea of Trump as incompetent, which makes it all too easy to forget that he still managed to mobilize more voters than Obama. Memes using pop culture references also only require a shallow knowledge in most cases, either because they repurpose the context or, as in this case, require only passing familiarity that Empire means bad and Jedi means good. Additionally, we have some helpful color coding going on to make out the bad guy here. So well-known Star Wars quotes and titles are the lowest common denominator, allowing to share a joke with maximum spread to a large group of people. Using such pop culture references easily creates a common language and a shared fanish identity, yet often requires little actual knowledge about the franchise. Now we keep the idea of an easily recognizable reference as we move on to Game of Thrones, but at the same time forget what I just said about lowest common denominators. Now we get to memes that require advanced meme literacy to be decoded. I particularly love this one because it is not self-explanatory at all. You need to understand Donald refers to President Donald Trump. You need to be aware, for example, from the date it was posted on, that it refers to the election week. You need to be aware of Pennsylvania flipping as the decisive count that cemented Biden's win. You need to be aware that it's a Game of Thrones reference and that "it was me" refers to murder. And most importantly, you need to understand that Philadelphia's flyer ice hockey mascot Gritty is an anti-fascist icon. Hence, this meme celebrates the anti-fascist citizens of Pennsylvania being the decisive factor leading to Trump's loss. And there were many similar ones featuring Gritty or maps highlighting decisive states Pennsylvania and Georgia, using Game of Thrones or other pop culture comparisons, where this one had it all. This meme even spread to the real world and was of course combined with other prominent memes. I sadly did not buy one of these shirts, where you can see Gritty riding a lawnmower next to a Four Seasons Total Landscaping logo, and I will regret this forever. I would claim that this type of meme is more meant for a smaller, elusive circle that appreciates the artful layering of references, priding themselves on deciphering Michelangelo's masterwork, as we could see on the last slide. A honorable mention also goes out to DSDL Putin memes. And these were more popular on Tumblr than Twitter and later spread to Twitter, often via screenshots or textual allusions to Tumblr. The text heaviness allowed for them to trend and be a trending hashtag #1 worldwide for many hours on November 6th, much to the confusion of most Twitter users. As many people posting visual memes do not use hashtags or image descriptions, a million memes featuring Gritty can never make Gritty a trend. A joke being repeated in textual form, however, can. Hence, we of course need to be careful when evaluating what being a trend really means for the popularity of a phenomenon. So what's up with this one? Imagine you wake up, remember it's yet another day in election week, you anxiously grab your phone, turn it on, and apparently the worldwide trending hashtag is DSDL in combination with Putin. Now, being a fan of the CW's genre show Supernatural, you understand that DSDL refers to the queer relationship between the main characters Dean and Castiel. You might guess something important happened on the most recent episode of the show. However, the connection to Putin baffles you. The explanation is simple. The rumor that Putin might be resigning was linked to a love confession between two characters, leading to a unique spread of misinformation. There are probably several reasons for this. Coincidentally, perfect timing. The fact that Putin is well known and ridiculed for being a homophobe in liberal internet circles, be it by implying he's gay or implying a romantic relationship with Trump. And given that Putin mocking memes were usually slightly homophobic in tone, it was maybe particularly attractive to reappropriate the narrative. The story was just too good. A homophobic leader resigning on the same day that a long-awaited gay love confession happened, almost poetic justice. Of course it wasn't true, and I doubt anyone believed in a causal link. It was simply a good joke and felt cathartic, particularly to liberal US fans who were holding their breath. To be fair, even though it was a trending topic on Twitter and crash blogging platform Tumblr, most people outside of Supernatural fan culture did not take note of the Putin rumors. However, many who normally would not have followed political news learned about the rumors this way and believed them to be factual. We can see firstly that fan culture can be a powerhouse that spreads misinformation unintentionally, and secondly, memes are often a way people on social media learn about political news, as many memes were actually made about learning about the situation via memes, reaching even those not actively looking for political news, as they were intrinsically linked to posts in fan spaces. A late runner-up to this presentation is the Bernie's Mittens meme. This edition only came up during Inauguration Week and doesn't really tell us much about political events that passed at all. Why is the Bernie meme interesting? Well, first of all, this is not Bernie's first time providing a meme template, as you can see. Additionally, we don't see elements of pop culture being used to comment on a political situation. Rather, a politician is used to comment on pop culture, at some point becoming a floating signifier detached from the context the picture was taken in. Initially, people might have latched onto the image because of the parasocial relationship many had with Bernie Sanders, and that it embodied the mood of being tired of the pandemic and political struggles so well. However, we can see them both being combined with popular other memes as the Totoro meme that has also become a floating signifier itself, and him being inserted into just any recent event, such as the NASA rover Perseverance landing on Mars, and of course the first one on my slide. While this meme tells us comparatively little about the actual politics of the inauguration, except perhaps Bernie is a mood, Bernie cleverly put his fame to good use, harnessing the power of memes for politics and charity. So, what does it all mean? I cannot say for sure that there were more memes during the 2020 election than the 2016 election. I would, however, say using memes to comment on a political situation became even more mainstream. This might be a natural development of online communication that many scholars have predicted. Or it might be partially due to the unique COVID situation that both heightened the need to communicate via social media and anxieties that favored anything that could relieve the tensions through humor. The potential negative consequences remain to be seen. Much has been written on memes that express dissent or radicalize, and memes that criticize or mock. While these memes certainly make fun of Trump and Putin, in my opinion, the theme here is first and foremost celebratory. Users all over the world have used memes to share their joy about the poetic but also bittersweet happy end of tense American elections in the middle of a global pandemic, using narrative frameworks and the shared language of pop culture to connect and make sense of their reality.